Hello everybody, it's me, Blue. Welcome back to BnB Anime. That's gonna be a fun one to edit because, I slid into that one from a previous sentence, so...
Nah, it'll be fine. It's not like I don't have 2 weeks to try to make that correction now.
That's
Hi,
true.
I'm Brad.
That is Brad, and I am Blue, and we're recording this one early, well, late, but also early, because complications happened.
Yeah, life is bullshit.
Life is bullshit. Unfortunately some big things happened in my life that had just meant that I needed a little bit of time. So we took a bit of time, but now we're back, we're all good, everything is well. And Brad, you've had some time to rest your little feetsies. So how are they doing?
I've had time to rest my feetsies, but I haven't had time to rest everything else, it seems.
Everything else?
Life is fun.
Life is grand.
But on the bright side, my feet aren't hurting right now, so I fix one thing to have everything else go to shit.
Well, I mean, that's, yeah.
That's just perks of being an adult,
Honestly,
I guess.
That's just 2020 all wrapped up into one.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's do this one thing, and then plane crash. Just fucking everything up. Why not?
Yeah. So today we're going to be covering Deadman Wonderland, and we're not entirely sure when this is going to be released, so whichever day that this is released, whether it be Halloween prior or sometime afterwards, I hope you're having a good time with whatever time you're in.
Nah, according to the Instagram poll, this bitch is going up on Halloween.
On Halloween? So this is an extra spooky special episode.
Yeah.
Not just a full moon, but a blue moon this Halloween.
Shit's going down this Halloween.
Yeah. So, extra spooky special episode, Deadman Wonderland. Do you have any fun Halloween plans for this year?
That depends on how my COVID tests come back.
Yeah, I suppose that plays an important role. You guys
just a little bit.
You guys have a big election coming up now, though, don't you, right? On November 3rd, right after Halloween?
We do have an election coming up, which the political state here in the U.S. is a giant fucking shit show right now. However, this will be my one PSA. This will be the one time you hear me get even slightly political for just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
If you want change, no matter what the change is, go vote.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
If you're eligible to vote, just go do it. Do your research on whatever party, what stances, what platform it is that you stand upon, and go vote for the candidate that best represents you, your ideals. Just do your research and just go vote. Like, don't bitch about it. Don't whine about it. Just go fucking vote. Because if you don't vote, I don't want to hear you whine about it.
I agree. I am a huge advocate of voting. I voted for the very first time, I think it was last year, in a Canadian election, because I obviously am an immigrant. That makes things a little bit more complicated. I can legally vote in the UK, because I am obviously still a citizen of the UK. I was born there. But a lot of a lot of the time, this sounds pretty bad. I don't really pay attention to the politics in the UK. I don't live there, haven't lived there for over a decade. So I pay attention to the big things, but I don't pay attention to the little things because it doesn't directly affect me, which is bad. And I should pay attention to both my nations. That is wrong. Don't follow my example. But yeah, so it ended up being the first time I ever voted was in Canada, and it was really scary. No, I'm just kidding. It's really not. But I understand the fear of like first time voting. So if it is your first time voting this year, I totally get it. Anxiety inducing, especially considering all of the COVID conditions. Make sure that you're checking out your local polling stations, and if you're doing mail online ballots or mail ballot voting, whatever it is, if you're posting it, you can track it to make sure that it gets to where it needs to be, so make sure you're also following through with that, because I know a lot of rules are changing very rapidly in the States right now, and a lot of people just don't know what's going on. There's also been a couple of people that are being assholes and destroying, like, the ballot boxes and stuff, so people's votes aren't actually getting to their final destination. The final destination.
That's an accurate description of 2020 right fucking there.
So yeah, make sure that if you are mailing your votes, you are tracking your votes to make sure that they're getting to where they need to go. And then, of course, yeah, if you're going to vote in person, mask up, sanitize, and make sure you're checking your local areas, because America is one of the forefront countries in the world, you know? A lot of people look to America for, you know, because it's a huge company. A huge company.
That's also
wow,
an accurate
okay.
statement, but anyway.
That's also... It's a huge country that a lot of people look to, not necessarily for political ideas, but for, like, social and community and, like, I don't know, it's a huge country, so...
It's a giant melting pot and the world's youngest superpower, so...
Yeah, a lot of people... America has a large impact on the global structure of everything. Mm-hmm. So this is a huge election for America, but it absolutely has an impact on countries surrounding America as well, so... Exactly. Especially from a neighbor to the north. Mm-hmm. Because right now we've got some of your buttheads, and I'm gonna call you out. I'm calling you out, America, okay? On these buttheads that are claiming that they're heading to Alaska, so they're driving through Canada. But they're not just heading straight to Alaska, and they're going on little vacays in Canada and sparking up these COVID pockets. You're buttheads, okay? We've done so well.
Do you expect any different from this bunch down here?
We give you... We trust, we try to trust you.
Well, where has that gotten you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I hate to sit down and sound that maniacal or whatever, but, you know.
This is revenge for the War of 1812.
No, this is
We burnt down your White House, you'll finally get back at us with the COVID thing.
Never forget. All that bullshit. Oh me. But yeah, now the PSA is over.
Oh my god, yeah, that was a ramble.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit of one.
Little bit. But what have you been doing today anyways?
Lying in bed.
Same.
I've spent a lot of time lying in bed, going back and forth between my office and my bedroom, just watching anime. I have watched so much anime. The boredom is real. So if, with this episode going up on Halloween, I will either have my results from my COVID test or, and it's either going to be positive, negative, no matter what. The results, up to this point, I have been self-isolating since I took my test. Mm-hmm. Now, the boredom is real. I've had to stay cooped up. I can barely traverse my own home because my grandmother is here. She has refused to leave to go somewhere else. So I have to wear a mask anytime I travel around the house, out to the barn to get drinks. And so yeah, it's just been a lot of lying in bed, which is fine because with the extreme fatigue that I'm feeling, I have no complaints. I've been taking naps. That's unlike me.
That is very unlike you. You're a 4 hours of sleep kind of person.
Yeah, and then I just have a crash like every 10 or so days. So
yeah, I'm a 14 hours of sleep a night kind of person.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could sleep for days. It's my biggest talent. Anywhere, anytime, I can crash. Unless I've had a nightmare or a night terror, which I promised that I would talk about some of my night terrors during the month of October. So I have a few, and I promised that I would talk about them because they are very freaky. So, I have one about... Oh, okay, so I have The Legend of the Hand. That's a hereditary dream. How exciting is that? I have two that I've had very recently. One about Tilly, and one about my mum. And then I have the reason why I'm terrified of toilets.
I'm sorry, what?
So, yeah, the reason why I'm terrified of toilets. Do you want to hear that one?
Yes, please, enlighten me.
Okay, so this is a night terror that I first had when I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. It's very, very young, and it's a reoccurring one that I had quite a lot when I was younger. I haven't had it in probably like 8 to 10 years, I don't know, but I had it a lot when I was young. And and I think every kid, it's pretty standard to say that every kid, when you have to pee in the middle of the night, you book it back to your bedroom and you jump into your bed and you dive under the duvet and you hide from whatever thing was trying to get you from under your bed or crawl behind you in the hallway, right?
Relatable.
Like, that's standard. My brain took that and was like, hey, we're gonna run with this. So not only did I have the terrifying feeling of something chasing me from my trip from the bathroom back into bed, and the monster under my bed. I had a night terror about a hand in the toilet bowl, well, in the U-bend, that when I sat on the toilet, because I am not a male, this hand would come out of the toilet, into my body through orifices, grab a hold of my internal organs, and rip them from my very body, leaving me effectively disemboweled. And I had this dream a lot when I was little, and I used to be scared of toilets a lot, so I used to have someone escort me to the toilet when I was very young. And so sorry, Mum and Dad, who got no sleep when I was like 6 to 8 years old, I guess, because I would wake them up every time I needed to pee in the night and was like, hey, can you hold my hand while I'm on the toilet, because I'm scared that a hand is going to come out and disembowel me. But then that fear then kind of alleviated itself when nothing happened throughout those years. But then we emigrated to Canada, and I was introduced to the wondrous world of pit toilets, where there could just be somebody standing in knee-deep in human waste and actually could do that. And the logic of my brain then went, hey, so it was impossible for a person to be in a pipe, but it's not impossible for a person to be at the bottom of a pit toilet. So now we're going to bring back these dreams, but instead of it being a regular toilet, it's now a pit toilet. And I was terrified every time we went into the mountains.
Nani the fuck?
Yeah. Welcome to Night Terrors.
I have effectively been welcomed into the world of Night Terrors. I used to watch a lot of horror stuff growing up. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite horror things to watch, and granted, this is a fucking children's cartoon, but Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Okay, yeah.
It still holds a special place in my heart to this day. I still love it whenever they put it on Netflix. I was one of the happiest human beings on the planet. However, that show, I've had like very, very vivid nightmares to the point to where I would literally wake up shouting. Like, shit is
So that's a night terror,
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would just affect me all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the difference between a nightmare and a night terror is a nightmare will just kind of wake you up, but a night terror will wake you up into a panic attack. So you'll be screaming, crying, not really aware of where you are. It can cause, you can be in like a hallucinated state where you're not really awake, not really asleep. And yeah, so there's like more to it than just like a nightmare where you wake up. Because I've had loads of nightmares. But like, yeah, night terrors are where you wake up in a state of panic.
So streaming Visage is just a constant state of night terror then?
Yeah, sure.
Because I streamed that the other day. That's the first time I've picked that game up in over a year. Mm-hmm. And I had the shit scared out of me by a small child. It's a grand time. October is fun. Yeah,
October is great. If I give myself a night terror because I spoke about my night terrors, it's going to be a fun time.
I would say you're more than welcome to message me if you need to, but my ass is probably going to sleep the second that we stop recording this. Mm-hmm. And I just woke up from a nap like an hour and a half ago.
Honestly, I feel you. I've been so exhausted recently. Just like breathing is tiring me out.
Like, and here's the thing. This is the main reason why I went and got COVID tested. I got winded taking a fucking shower.
Oh.
Like, I've been playing tennis very religiously
pretty much,
since I've come back. Yeah. I moved back to Cleveland and I weighed a whopping 350 pounds. And whenever I went to the doctor yesterday to get my COVID test, they took my weight and everything, and I'm down to 312. So thanks to tennis,
that's awesome.
I've lost 38 pounds in the past 6 months or so that I've been back.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. But yeah.
Especially as you've been gaining muscle at the same time.
Maybe? I don't feel like I'm gaining muscle. Like I still have
tennis.
I still have the same amount of definition and everything that I had before.
Yeah, but you're going to be gaining like leaner muscle with tennis.
Maybe
like
in
no
my
tennis
legs.
players are like butch.
That is true. Like you don't see like jack tennis players, but you see like very toned and like honed up tennis players with like calves of steel.
Calves of steel, and they can hit a ball like 150 mile an hour.
Like, no joke. Like, some of those serves are like 137 to like 141 miles per hour. Like, shit's legit.
They're insane. They're insane.
Yeah, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I miss tennis. I have missed tennis very much because of this shit.
Mm-hmm. You need to do, like, stand in the corner and do just, like, calf raises for 6 hours.
I mean, yes, but also my feet need to heal, so I need to not do that. Oh, yeah,
that's true. You need to figure out how to do calf exercises while laying down.
Just sit there and do feet rotations while also, like, doing ab exercises.
Oh, yeah, just crunch the whole time.
Yeah, just do bed aerobics. Like, sit there and, like, do leg raises. Crunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the shit I need to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what we should do for a stream at some point this month?
Oh, yeah, please don't make me exercise.
No. Wait, were you there for that stream whenever I was doing exercises?
Well, the one where you broke yourself?
Yeah, the one where I fucking collapsed?
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, so no, we don't exercise on streams anymore. That's not something we do.
Yeah, that's how we destroy our knees.
Yeah, no, and my knee's already destroyed, so that's a hard no.
Mm.
But no, what we should do is we need to read some, like, Reddit r/no sleep stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would make for a good stream.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll have another stream the next day where I tell you about all of the night terrors I had.
I mean, hey. Content.
Very true, content.
So we went out Saturday, I think, to play tennis. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to get some bright-ass orange fluorescent tennis balls.
Okay.
Not a good idea. Those balls felt like I was hitting lead. Like, I've never hit a worse set of balls in my life.
That's not a sentence. You should leave
that,
alone.
No. It's fine. I know what I said. It's staying there. I play a lot of tennis, so I've hit a lot of balls, okay?
God.
At this point, I'm just rambling on about this to pester the shit out of you. Anyway. But yeah, like, it was so odd. They bounce fine, but the second they come off the racket, it's like I have to swing a baseball bat to try to get that damn thing to go.
Okay, now philosophical question.
Okay.
Do you think the reason why they felt so different was because they were orange?
No. Because I've hit a vast multitude of the, like, green fluorescent tennis balls.
Mm-hmm.
So I can distinguish the difference between, like, a good tennis ball and a bad tennis ball at this point. And the orange ones, whenever they're in your hand, like, they feel like a decent tennis ball. Like, they have a good spring to them whenever you're dribbling them on the court.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that the second the racket collides with it, it would hit like a really decent tennis ball because it costs like a decent fucking tennis ball. Like, it costs $1 more than cheap tennis balls, but $1 less than the really good tennis balls that we use. So again, with the price of that, because tennis balls, I don't know if you know, were fucking expensive for good ones.
I do know. I have a golden retriever.
That is true. But wait, do you get, like, the cases of tennis balls for Tilly then? Or do you get, like, just a can at a time?
We have experienced quite a few different types of tennis balls, including tennis balls that are designed for dogs that are actual crap. I guess they're crap because they're expected to be destroyed really quick. But one thing about dogs with tennis balls is that they love to swim and go and swim out and grab those tennis balls that are floating on the water. But if you get a crappy tennis ball and your dog puts it in his mouth and the tennis ball breaks, that tennis ball ain't gonna float anymore.
Nope.
And then your dog's gonna be real sad. Or like Tilly, if they're not like Tilly. Tilly dives. Cedar doesn't dive. So Tilly would get the ball, Cedar wouldn't. But yeah, so we've had an array of them. We also occasionally find them at the dog park, and so then Tilly gets to discover a new toy and bring it home. But yeah, we've had an array of tennis balls. Sometimes we get the can ones, sometimes we just get crappy ones from Walmart. Sometimes, if she's lucky, they'll have a deal at Sport Chek, and we'll get some fancy ones. Because yeah, she's good with their balls.
I tell you what, Bean would have been a very, very happy dog had she wandered over to the tennis courts the other day, because I left those fuckers out there. I've never been more disappointed with a set of tennis balls in my life.
So sad.
It is sad, but somebody would have gotten a free pack of tennis balls. And then they also could have found out they were shit.
Yeah.
But hey, at least, more discovery. That way people will know not to hit them. My brain is dead.
Yeah, when you get a dog, you're gonna have to get a dog that you can train to retrieve your tennis balls.
Honestly, though.
So basically what I'm saying is you need a golden retriever.
I mean, what other dog would be best for retrieving things?
I don't know. I mean, it's literally what they were bred for.
Can I just borrow Bean whenever I go play tennis?
You're gonna borrow Bean? Bean is fantastic at retrieving. She's not the best at giving. So she'll retrieve it for you and bring it back to near your vicinity.
And then just run around while you try to take it from her?
If she's playing fetch, she will drop it directly at your feet and she will be super excited and she'll do that for hours and hours and hours. If she is tired after a day of fetch, she will not be able to decide whether or not she wants another throw or she wants to lie down. And so she will just wander in circles around your body until she eventually either sulks in the corner or gives you the ball for another throw. Okay, news! Do we have any news?
We're pre-recording this one. No, we don't have news.
Oh, that's true. Well, hey, guess what news we have this week? It's Halloween, so, it's a blue moon.
So listen, this is dropping on Halloween. So here's your news. Candy.
Yeah,
More
here's
candy.
your news. There may possibly or may not be trick-or-treaters heading to your door, depending on your region, local bylaws, and whether or not you have curfews and high COVID things.
So have fun. Don't bitch out. Get the big
Drink
candy
responsibly.
bars. The kids
and
deserve it.
Make sure you have a DD, please and thank you.
Yes.
Safe way home.
Always have yourself a Brad. Somebody who's not allowed to drink, so therefore perfect to drive.
Yes. And or set up cash for a cab or an Uber or whatever you need. Make sure your phone has charge. Keep yourself safe. Don't go into gatherings of large amounts of people. But also have fun with your friends if you're like able to. Obviously, if you're in a high spiked area and you're still having to make sure you're social distancing properly, then have fun with your friends from a distance.
Did somebody say Uber?
Uber. Are you planning on dressing up this Halloween?
No, because I have to work.
You don't get to dress up when you work?
No.
Boo.
Yeah, I know, corporate bullshit. But also, I might not even be working. I might be stuck at home in bed.
That's true.
Because again, we don't know how these results are going to come back. I'm really fucking hungry.
You hungry?
I'm really hungry.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Postmates?
But I feel so weird asking somebody to come and drop something off right now. Like, my body is like, yes, but my mind is like, no. Keep people away.
My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yeah.
Literally, that's literally it.
No, you should Postmates and just give them instructions to leave it out front, or like Uber Eats or whatever, because you pay through the app, right? So
somebody say Uber.
Yeah, just leave it out front. Just give them the instructions to be like, hey, leave it out front. Make sure you sanitize afterwards, just in case I'm self-isolating in the app. It's what everybody else is doing.
Big brain plays.
Yeah, let's move forward. Do we have any background on Deadman Wonderland? Because it's about time that we started chatting about it.
So, on the note of background, I hope you're happy.
What?
I did research for this. And I'm not just talking about my regular rinky-dink background research. No, because the studio that made this have made absolutely nothing else that I have ever seen.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Me being the fantastic podcast journalist that I am, who likes to go above and beyond, decided to watch one of the other shows on the list.
Ah, okay. Yeah, and?
I don't know how I feel about it.
Uh-oh.
So, I was going through the studio. The anime was made by Monglobe.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was directed by Koichiro Hatsumi, who has, I think this was their first and only real stint as a director, so that was the thing. But I looked up some of the other stuff that Monglobe had done just to kind of see, and apparently one of the things that they're known for is not adapting a lot of works. They just like to create new and original stuff, which could partially explain Deadman Wonderland and the issues that I have with it.
Okay.
However, something that they did adapt was an anime based off of a manga called The World God Only Knows.
Okay.
You listen to a title like that, and then you think of the phrase, God Only Knows, to which you should immediately facepalm whenever you hear. I now understand why. It's a harem anime. And not a very good one, But for some reason, they adapted 3 seasons of this shit.
3 seasons!
3 seasons of this shit. Whereas
Okay.
Deadman Wonderland, that they butchered from the manga, like they butchered the timeline and shit, to where they took another manga and adapted 3 seasons worth. The fuck?
Yeah.
I'm at a loss over this. I'm really at a loss over Deadman Wonderland itself.
Well, apparently Deadman Wonderland was not a success in Japan at all, but it was a huge success internationally.
But the manga was obviously a success because it had a total of 13 volumes.
So it was just the anime adaptation that people were thoroughly disappointed with in Japan.
Yes, and then, so I've been talking to a lot of my friends about Deadman Wonderland since I rewatched it, because Deadman Wonderland was one of the first animes that I watched whenever I got back into anime.
Same.
So I wasn't really exposed to a lot of the nuances and stuff that anime had, but also, watching it through this time, I noticed a lot of things that I hadn't noticed prior.
Yeah, I watched it so long ago that I had pretty much forgotten everything about it.
I remembered how it ended. I remembered the basic plot line and everything. I remember the first episode with, you know what happened.
Yeah.
So I remembered all of that, but I didn't notice my biggest gripe about it.
Right.
And talking to everyone else about it, they didn't notice it either. So I ruined lives by going back and us covering this, but also this didn't age well.
No.
Like, watching it through this time, I wasn't pleased.
No, I find the animation style I think aged well. I think the animation style holds up.
No.
Do you disagree?
I very much disagree.
Are you going to ruin something for me that I wasn't paying enough attention to?
I'm going to destroy lives with episodes 10 through 12.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, I will give you that. But, like, overall.
Episodes 1 through 9 were fine.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of holds up to some of the stuff from today.
Yeah.
But I cannot, if you would have taken that animation style from the first 3 episodes, or from the last 3 episodes and made it the first 3 episodes, and then you improved on it, I would praise this show to the end of time. But instead, it's like they took their animation budget and blew it on the first 9 episodes, to where the last 3, it was like one person worked on it one day at a time. It made me ill to see it. Like, I've never wanted to vomit watching an anime to the point to where, like, you have such high expectations, and then it's just, there's no reasoning. It didn't change studios halfway through. Like, it wasn't like Monglobe started it and then they passed it off to the studio that did Ride Your Wave and did Devilman Crybaby.
Interesting factoid about Ride Your Wave.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You remember you saying that there was one scene in it that you really liked the animation of?
And I've had this conversation.
Yeah, okay. So the scene that Brad particularly was like, that's a scene that I really like, was a clip of coffee being prepared in an espresso shop.
Uh-huh.
Brad, would you care to tell the people what that clip actually was?
It was an actual clip from a coffee shop that was just drawn over.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, it was some stock footage that they basically put a filter on.
Yep.
So that's why the animation still looked really good, because it wasn't animated.
And I just, it stood out to the point to where I was just like, this is awesome. Like, why can't, because if you look at Makoto Shinkai's work, all of the film looks that way.
Mm-hmm. It's totally possible to do that well through animation.
Yes, but it's just for what that film was. It was so different from everything else. And it was also coming right off the bat of us watching Weathering with You, I think.
Yeah.
So therefore, that was just like heavy into my brain of, I really like this.
Mm.
And then finding that out, I was just like, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But also, it frustrates me to no end, because Shinkai does that shit on a regular basis with every last one of his films, and then this film just fucking cheaped out on it. It's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, more background info. Do we have any more background info?
So, Deadman Wonderland was initially a manga. Shock. I've already mentioned this. It ran in the Shonen Ace magazine instead of the regular Shonen Jump. Its original run was from May 2007 through August of 2013 for the total number of volumes totaling 13. Which means, should this follow typical anime format and formulation, there's 3 more seasons worth of content for this shit.
Which makes so much sense.
Yes, because this show, we're going to get into a lot of this later. However, I've talked about this multiple times, so I'm not bringing up anything new unless you're new to the podcast, and I'm sorry. This show has the most fucking awful cliffhanger I have ever seen to an anime. Ever.
Yeah, it's on the same lines as, and I've compared it to this before, The Cube. It's a horror movie. It's a horrible horror movie because of the ending. The ending is disgraceful. I'm going to spoil it. It's not a good horror movie. Trust me, it's not good. It's a piece of crap horror movie. I'm sorry to the people who made The Cube. It's a bad movie. The ending of it, basically, the premise of the movie is that the bunch of people have been stuck inside in a cube, and they have to escape the cube. But there's a bunch of traps and they're in one room, and they have to travel through all of the different rooms to get to the outside. And every single new room has a trap in it. Well, not every single room. They have to try and figure out if a room has a trap in it or not. If it has a trap in it, they're dead, right? And all the people that are in the cube have a special thing about them that means that they should be able to escape if they all team up and work together. Of course, they don't work together because that's how horror movies work. And so they try to get out of this cube. Anyway, 3 characters get to the end. There's one bad guy in the cube as well, because obviously. And when they're just about to escape the cube, the 2 characters that are having the love story, because obviously, the guy goes, I don't even know if we should escape. And literally the exit is right there. They're staring through an open door. And he goes, I don't even know if we should escape. And he sits on the floor and he starts crying. And he's like, I don't know if we should do this. The bad guy comes through and kills them. They die. And only one person escapes, despite the fact that they were staring at an open door. Like, you can have your panic attack afterwards. I don't care. But your exit, your escape was open in front of you 3 feet away. And you were just like, nah, I'm just gonna sit in the corner and cry. I'm sorry, Darwinism, you deserved it.
What if he was the one that actually survived? Like, he got the other 2 people that were with him killed.
Yeah,
he
honestly.
was the one that survived.
God.
That would have been a shit show.
It's
like,
such a bad... But yeah, so that ending of the horror movie was incredibly frustrating. This Deadman Wonderland has the same level of... How do I say this without spoiling anything?
Frustration?
Frustration. Yeah, it's got the same level of frustration at the end with the way that things are explained. Because I guess the only reason why I think the ending is the way that it is because I think they were expecting to get renewed for another season.
Not with those last 3 episodes.
No, I know. But I think they were expecting to with the way that they wrote the storyline, because they could have wrapped it up with a real nice, neat bow on the last episode. But they chose not to.
They also butchered the timeline from the manga as well.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to a friend of mine that's a massive Deadman Wonderland fan.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking to me about the timeline from the manga. And she was like, yeah, they butchered a lot of stuff, which is why the anime seems like it's incredibly fast-paced for how quickly shit moves along.
Mm-hmm.
That explains a lot of that. That's why like there's so much shit crammed into it. Like, if they had taken their time with a lot of that season could have been 2 or 3 seasons worth.
Yeah,
Easy.
I was gonna say, I feel like that Hummingbird arc, that happened in an episode. And I feel like that arc could have happened in an entire season. Because the fact that you meet her and then it's kind of resolved in the same episode is ridiculous.
Yeah, and just...
Well, you can't form any kind of emotional connection for her, so when the twist happens, you've got no emotional connection to her, because it's you've known her for 8 minutes. So, before you watched it again, would you have recommended this to someone to watch?
Oh yeah, hands down. And even just because of what the show is, I could still recommend it to people.
Right.
Because I feel like for a one-time watch, it's phenomenal. And had we watched this like episode 2 or 3 of the podcast, I might not have torn it apart as bad as I am ready to.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, this show was a raging dumpster fire on par with Domestic Girlfriend.
Huh, okay. So I think you guys already can tell Brad's opinion on this show. I am pretty much along the same lines as Brad. As you guys know, I'm not huge on knowing about animation stuff. I don't do digital art, I do traditional art. So, I'm not the best at critiquing the animation. I also am notoriously the worst at critiquing OPs and EDs because I have horrible music taste. I am aware, okay? It's fine, I know.
I mean, hey, at least the first step on the road to recovery is admitting.
I still think the best OP of all time is frickin' Tanaka-kun's OP. It's such a good OP. It is
a phenomenal OP, okay? I'm not disagreeing with that. However, Tokyo Ghoul, better.
Sure.
Gringe, better.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm aware of that kind of stuff. But I absolutely do think that the pacing in this is incredibly strange. I feel like they packed so much stuff into each episode that it's hard to keep up with, I feel like. If you're a casual anime watcher, or if you're watching this week to week, to be honest, if you're watching this week to week, I feel like you would forget stuff between the last episode and the next episode that came out.
Yeah, I feel like for you, with you having ADHD and the way that your brain works, if you weren't able to binge this, you would be fucked.
Yeah, I don't think I would have any clue what was going on. There's not a lot of world explaining until pretty late on in the show, so for a good portion of the show, you're pretty confused about what's going on.
Yeah, they did not do a good job with world building.
Yeah, and I think if the show had continued on to a second season, you would have been learned a lot more, especially about the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the way that it ends, you're just left with so many questions. So, would I recommend watching this anime to those of you who haven't seen it before and therefore are not going to listen to all of the spoilers? Yeah, I would recommend you give it a go. But I wouldn't, if you're not hooked right off the bat, I wouldn't recommend pushing yourself to watch through it. I know a lot of people are like, I'll give the first 3 episodes a watch, and if I'm not enjoying it after that, don't finish it. If you watch the first 3 episodes and you're like, this is cool, I want to keep watching, go ahead and keep watching it. But by the sounds of it, the manga is a million times better. And so if you like the concept, just read the manga instead.
But also, if you watch through 3 episodes and you want to keep going, do not watch the last 3.
Skip the last 3 episodes.
Just...
Another thing. There is also a very secret OVA that nobody's ever watched.
So, I had the OVA explained to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we got it, because it's Crow's backstory.
Oh, okay, I kind of wish I'd watched it now.
I mean...
He's one of my favorite characters.
I mean, yes, he is one of my favorite characters. I just couldn't with it. I couldn't bring myself to watch the OVA, and another reason I couldn't bring myself to watch the OVA is, what if the art style was the same as those last 3 episodes? I would have immediately hated it just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like maybe somewhere down the road, maybe as an April Fool's joke or something for the podcast, we can just watch it to cover it just as a really short little mini episode. But I need time to be able to give that episode the proper attention that it deserves. Or might not deserve, depending.
Yeah, that's true. Hot and heavy on those emotions from ending up on this. But yeah, okay, so is that all of the background?
I think in a very jumbled up mess of a way, yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to give you a quick overview, because if you have never heard of the show, you're probably thoroughly confused by now what we're talking about, but probably have a fairly good idea of our opinions on it. Deadman Wonderland is a 12 episodes plus an OVA show, centered around a 14-year-old character called Gante Garashi. He's a middle school student, and he has 2 best friends, and he loves hanging out with them, and they're about to go on a class field trip to a prison. And this prison is a privately owned prison in what was once Tokyo, but there had been a big explosion that had happened, and nothing really is left where Tokyo is anymore, except for this small little island, upon which is this privately owned prison that is set up like a theme park. All of the prisoners are the workers at the theme park, and they run off a very different system to normal prisons because of the way that it's ran, and it's kind of like the center of public, it's like a reality thing for people, it's very popular in media. It's not like there is a reality show going on about it, but it's very popular in media. The news is always covering it. People are always going there to watch, to be entertained by these prisoners that are in this amusement park prison. And yes, that's what they're going to go on this field trip. And it's a horror, obviously. There's lots of blood and gore. There's also a supernatural kind of element to do with the show. So it's not completely, like, real world in that sense. So if you like real world kind of stuff and you're not a big fan of the supernatural, not one for you. If you like a supernatural, maybe it's one that you should consider. I think that's everything I can say without spoiling the first episode.
Also, anime tropes galore.
So many anime tropes. Considering the fact that he is 14 years old, but they say he's in 7th grade. Is that correct?
No. 7th grade is...
like 12, right? Yeah.
12 to 13.
I was watching it and I was so confused every time they mentioned that he was in 7th grade, but he was 14 years old. I was like, So do you think that's a translation? Do you think that's a translation thing? Or do you think they just got the ages wrong?
You watched it...
Subbed, correct?
Yeah. And I watched it the way that I originally watched it. I watched it dubbed.
So they just got the age wrong?
Yes.
Cool. So unless we're missing something with the education system in Japan, or that there's something that was unexplained in this world.
Or the writers are the biggest bunch of fuck-ups that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Because that was one thing that actually, like, that I was very confused about throughout the entire show. Because I had to do the math. I was like, wait, how old was I in 7th grade? Because, yeah, 6th grade was the first grade that I entered when I emigrated. And I just turned, I was 10, turning 11 in 6th grade. And because I was bumped a grade due to the education system in the UK being very, very different to the Canadian education system.
Because you big smart.
Because I'm big smart. No, it's because I started school at 4.
I like how whenever you say 4, you literally have to go into the Becky accent.
4. No, I started school at 4. 4?
You said 4.
4.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. But yes, I think that's everything that we need to let you guys know about before we put on those spoiler chicken hats. Sorry, I just had to get incredibly British there for a second. Anyway, spoiler chicken hats are on, so I'm going to dive into the first episode. If you have not seen Deadman Wonderland and you do not wish to be spoiled, make sure that you go and watch it before you come on back. We're not going to be talking about the OVA, so if you haven't seen the OVA, don't worry about it. Episode 1, Deadman Wonderland. Death Row Inmate. Ganta Igarashi is in middle school. He's not a middle school. He's in middle school. He's in middle school.
He is a middle school.
He is a middle school.
That's a big boy.
Could you imagine an anime of the high school and the middle school? And it's just a slice of life, but it's the buildings rather than the students.
Honestly, that would be hilarious.
But yeah, Ganta Igarashi is a middle school. And him and his classmates are going to take a field trip to Old Tokyo to go visit the prison called Deadman Wonderland. When Ganta is in class, and he all of a sudden sees a mysterious red man floating outside of the window. The man blasts out the windows, knocking Ganta unconscious, and when he wakes up, the whole classroom is covered in blood, and everyone is dead. The red man comes over to him and implants a gem-looking chunk into his chest. When Ganta wakes up, he is in the hospital, and they have charged him with the murder of 29 students in his class of 30, with him being the only survivor. They provide him a lawyer, and he is quickly sentenced to death, as the evidence is overwhelming. A fake video confession has been leaked to the press, where it shows a visual of him bragging about the murders. He is taken to Deadman Wonderland, the prison, and as a death row inmate. When he arrives, he quickly learns that the prison is unique. Another inmate knocks him over, and the warden slices him open, telling him to return whatever he stole. He didn't return it. The lawyer is actually connected to the prison, though, and wants Ganta dead. Ganta, whilst heavy lifting in the junkyard, meets a peculiar-looking girl who already knows him. Shiro is her name, and quickly befriends him. And a few of the assholes that are also in the prison, just fellow prisoners, attempt to beat him up. She defends him, only to get knocked out with a shovel. Did that scene also trigger that one, video that went viral a few years back of that girl hitting the other girl over the head with a shovel?
Yeah, just yeeting the shovel at her and just knocking her the fuck out. Yeah.
Yeah, every time when I watch that, that's what came into my head. There's the stupid remixes that people made. and she defends him only to get knocked out with a shovel. However, while they're fighting, one of the building theme park decoration rooftop thingies breaks off. It's like massive, and it's going to squish them all. But Ganta's chest begins to glow, and he somehow uses his newfound power related to the gem implant to be able to stop the decoration from squishing Shiro. But it squishes all the other inmates. And Ganta vows to kill the Red Man for what he did to his friends in school. So the first episode is basically an entire season.
Literally an entire season.
Yeah, because, again, this is what I'm saying about you don't really have much time to get emotionally attached and invested to characters before shit hits the fan. Because I feel like in most other shows where they have a big twist in the first episode, they would have the twist at the very end of the episode, and you would spend the first portion of the episode thinking that the two characters, for instance, okay, so Ganta and his two friends, interaction between them, getting to know them, is probably, like, what do you think, 3 minutes, 4 minutes long?
If even that.
Yeah, it's very short. But you're supposed to gain some kind of emotional reaction to these characters, so that then when they die, you're with Ganta on this, like, hatred for the Red Man. But they die within, like, the first half of the episode, so you don't have time to feel anything for them before they're already dead. Already putting him in prison, having the entire trial, having everything, the fake video, all of that happen in the first episode, then introducing Shiro, who is our secondary character and, like, I suppose love interest, all in one episode. It's so much.
It's...
Like, you don't feel anything. Like, when those two characters died, I was like, oh, boo. Like, I was like...
Yeah, like, whenever the whole classroom was slaughtered, I was just like, excuse me, what?
Yeah. Episode 2, Antidote, brackets, Candy. Ganta goes to the infirmary to get patched up after the incident with the thing falling. He's just got a couple bumps and bruises. And when he's there, he bumps into Yo Takumi. Again, he was the guy who knocked him down the day before and got sliced open when he stole a thing from Ganta but didn't return it. Ganta talks to him, and Yo ends up telling him about caste points, which is the internal currency of the prison, and explains that they're needed to do anything inside the prison. He tells Ganta to read the handbook for more information, and when Shiro pops out of the ceiling... And then, Shiro then pops out of the ceiling when he's like, hey, you should read the handbook for more information. She wants to participate in the dog race, which is an event used to entertain the theme park guests. Basically, a bunch of prisoners are put up against one another, get to the end, and the winner receives 100,000 caste points, which is going to be enough for Ganta to buy a candy, which the death row inmates have to eat every approximately 3 days, because they are wearing collars, and this collar has a slow-acting poison that is being injected into their bodies, and the candy is the antidote, and without consuming one every 3 days, the inmate will die. He was supposed to have one in his welcome package, but it mysteriously vanished. Yeah. I wonder who took that. The trio enter the dog race, but in the waiting room before it begins, Katsuma Kyozuji, former Olympic martial arts champion, comes into the room and starts throwing hands at disrespectful people. Because of this, Yo is out of commission, and so they drag him away on a stretcher, and he goes back to the infirmary. He's a punching bag throughout this entire anime.
Yeah, he kind of gets shit on.
Yeah, a lot.
The whole time.
Yeah. And he's like one of the only people with, like, normal healing abilities.
He's Krillin from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, poor baby. He needs hugs. Anyway, so because Yo's out of commission for the race. However, Yo reported to the creepy guy lawyer dude, who is actually what do they call him? He's the promoter for the prison. And yeah, so the lawyer dude was actually the promoter, and he set Ganta up to be in the prison. That's explained very early on, and well, it's not really explained, it's implied very early on. And then
it's told, and then yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. But like the lawyer dude is never like that's another thing that I consider a mistake. If I were them, I would have made the lawyer dude really nice. But he was creepy from the second you saw him. So you're like, oh, well, he's a creepy dude.
Yeah.
Like, you never thought he was nice.
It wouldn't have suited his personality, though.
No, but you could make him, like, I don't know, I feel like because of the fact that he, especially in his, like, personal office where everything was surrounded by toys and stuff, I feel like you could have given him, like, a dual-sided personality where he had this, like, really childlike, friendly, bubbly personality that was then masking the villain that he is, and then given him moments of, like, real, like, childlike innocence.
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. Just playing with ideas, though. Anyway, Yo is actually working with creepy lawyer dude, the promoter, and told him that Gonta is entering the race. And because of that, the obstacles were put to maximum danger levels. It's over 9,000! Literally. The warden comes in, who has tig old biddies, and F. It's established in the first episode, because anime trope.
And she didn't even care to tell. She's just like, fuck it,
but they
F.
also didn't include the band size, so that doesn't... I mean, yeah, she has tig old biddies, but cup size doesn't have... Like, if you don't have the band size, that's how you know that a man wrote that in. Because, just cup size doesn't establish size of boob.
I don't know how that shit works anyway.
Oh, well, okay.
So.
I'll explain it this way. A 34A and a, 30C are the same cup size, are the same boob size. 34A, 30C. Same boob size. Very different images in your head, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So cup size has nothing to do with it because of the band.
I don't understand.
Yeah, see? There's like magic to bras.
I mean, I figured there was something about it.
Yeah.
But...
So just saying that you're an F-size cup doesn't necessarily mean that you have tig-old biddies.
I don't...
I mean, you probably do have tig-old biddies if you're in the F area. But like, that doesn't just mean that they're tig-old biddies. You could have a really wide back.
Now I just feel like all the relationships I've ever been in, I've been lied to.
Yeah,
because
confused,
this has never been explained. So.
Yeah, see the magic of the magic of biddies.
Again, yeah, like I've never also known any of my prior relationships bra sizes, but still, I feel like there's been a missing piece of information that I've never gotten in any of the relationships that I've been in.
Yeah.
So this is like.
But this is the thing,
like a whole new world of territory.
This is a secret that a lot of women don't even know. So that's why it's important to go get proper fittings. Otherwise you can hurt your back and your shoulders and you end up with not fun comfortableness. So people who have breastises out there, spoil yourself. I know it's expensive, but go get measured properly. Because if you're going to wear them every day, if you're one of those people that wears them every day, make sure that you're living your life in luxury. It's worth the money. Go to a proper boutique. Get measured. Moving on from the tig old biddies. So anyway, the warden comes in to end the fighting. Well, she's actually coming in to take them out into the arena, but when she sees that there's fighting as well, she's like, stop it. She's not like that at all. She's actually aggressive and kind of a badass. Yeah, she's a badass, but you know. She's so much of a badass that there was a line in there that had me cackling because I was like, how can you... It's like, I have a character that I'm trying to make seem like a badass, so what am I going to do? Oh, I know. I'm going to have somebody ask them what their favorite thing to eat is, and I'm going to have their response be, it was like, whiskey, a glass of wine, and if there's room for dessert, steak. And I was like, yeah, you're trying... It was so funny to me. I was like, that you're trying to make her seem like... Yeah, she's a badass woman. I'm gonna have her whiskey is her first thing that she likes to eat for dinner. Maybe
honestly, I thought that was hilarious.
It was so funny.
It was great.
Yeah. But anyway, Warden comes in to end the fighting. During the race, people are being killed left, right, and center. It is gruesome. It's not fun. It's like, what's that show with the big red balls that you jump on and go splat?
Wipeout?
Wipeout. Yeah, there's Wipeout, there's Ninja Warrior, those kind of shows. It's like that, but like with death.
Like swinging padded things coming across? Nah, it's axes, bruh.
Yeah, blades.
And you watch a dude get shredded.
Oh yeah, lots of fun. And Shiro's helping Gonta through the entire course. But soon Gonta gets frustrated, saying that he's just not gonna follow the rules. He's like, nah, I don't know what you want from me, but I ain't doing it. And he doesn't care anymore. And they end up making it to the final level, where they must play a game of spleef. I don't know how else to describe it. I only know it as spleef.
The floor is lava.
The floor is lava, yeah. So they're
but
running...
only certain bits of the floor is lava.
Yeah, so they're on like a checkerboard kind of thing, or a chessboard, and every now and again one of the squares will light up, and then after it lights up, it will like fall down to the ground, and then the ground underneath that thing will just be spikes of death. So basically the floor is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they're having to jump from platform to platform. Kozuji is their opponent, so it's Gonta, Shiro, and Kozuji, who's the muscle dude who was beating up everybody else in the waiting room. And they have a ball, and the last one holding the ball wins. Kosuji is an idiot, and soon Shiro is about to fall. Gunter gives up the ball to save Shiro and loses the 100,000 cost points, knowing that he won't be able to purchase the candy now. No one wins the dog race that day, but Shiro and Gunter survive. Yeah.
So technically, don't they both win?
Technically, they both win, but they don't get the cost points.
Boo!
Boo! Episode 3, G Block. Gunter is writing a letter to the father of his friend that he supposedly killed, when Yo comes into his cell telling him that they are cellmates. Yo apologizes for losing Gunter's first candy when he knocked into him on the first day, and hands him another one to replace it. So basically gives it back. The prison promoter, the lawyer dude, put him up to watching over Gunter and has been paying him for doing so in cost points. Yo takes Gunter for some ice cream when there is a breach in the Red Man's cage, and he manages to escape, injuring many inmates. Gunter attempts to fight him off, but he isn't strong enough, and the Red Man leaves him through. And the Red Man leaves. And though Yo has now seen Gunter's blood powers, although at this point we don't actually know that it's blood, but, like, I think you can put it, you think it's blood pretty quick. It's the exact same color as all of the other blood, and it's coming out of his body, so I think you're like, okay, yeah, it's blood. But yeah, it doesn't actually get explained, I think, until the next episode, where he figures out that it's his blood that he's able to manipulate. And now the promoter did as well. Now the promoter has had confirmation that Gunter is a Red Man. And he welcomes him now into the player of a Deadman, sorry. He now welcomes him in as a player in the true Deadman Wonderland. Basically what it is it's an underground fighting ring between people who have these special blood powers. And there are rich people who watch through, like, they basically tune into a stream and make bets and make a lot of money off of it. And that's the true purpose of the prison, is to be making money through these underground bets of this fighting arena of these people that have this special ability. And Gunter has now been confirmed as one. Gunter overhears some of the inmates saying that they have seen the Red Man before, and that he is kept in Block G. Gunter, Shiro, and Yo go to find him. The warden has been told that what happened was a terrorist attack, and she doesn't believe that. She thinks that Gunter is the cause and somehow managed to sneak a weapon into the prison, hiding it within his own body. So she's kind of along the right tracks. She sends a killer robot after him. The trio escape the robot and head to the secret G block, where the warden loses track of them, now knowing that there's a place in the prison that she doesn't have control over. The robot continues to try and kill them, and Gunter can't use his abilities on command. He still hasn't figured out how to make them work yet, until the Red Man intercepts. Slice. So much happened. So much happened. Yeah, I feel like that could have been a whole season.
Yeah, there's a lot of that could have been, at the very least, this could have been 2 fucking cores.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, or at the very least, could have been 2 episodes.
Yeah. If this was Dragon Ball Z, it would have been 3 seasons.
Yeah. Every obstacle would have been an episode amongst all the yelling and internal dialogue.
Yeah. Episode 4, Crow Claw. Gunter tries to attack the Red Man, but has a horrid time as he's completely unable to use his abilities. And soon, though, he realizes that the man isn't actually the Red Man, but in fact another one with powers, and he calls himself the Crow, and calls Gunter Woodpecker. He's told that what he has is a branch of sin, and he wields the ability to manipulate his blood. They fight again, and Gunter is able to get a good hit on Crow before he gets embarrassed by boobs. And then the pair get tranquilized by a special unit. Why did that sound like an innuendo? By a special, god unit.
You know, my brain didn't go there until you said that.
Oh, God.
And then you literally went from plot to a special unit.
Yeah. That's bad. Anyway, okay. Shiro is found to have no identification number, which is very confusing because all of the inmates have an ID number, except for her. And yet she says that she's never been outside of the prison. Yo starts listening for more information, and everything is magically cleared up before the warden can explore the area. So she comes down to the area and where they entered, where they disappeared, and there's just nothing there. It's just a wall. Gunter wakes up in a lab where he meets his lawyer / the promoter again, and this is the first time where it's confirmed to him as a character that his lawyer was an arsehole and is the promoter. Because at this point he has no idea who the promoter is, right? And again, he's told about the upcoming fight with Crow tomorrow, where he will be placed, and he has a chance to win candy and cost points. He also learns that the promoter faked the evidence that got him convicted, and that the red man resides in G Block, and that if he wins enough fights, he may be able to fight him. And that's the end of episode 4. Episode 5, Carrion Festival, brackets, Carnival Corpse. Ganta fights Crow in the Carnival Corpse fight, but because of his youth and inexperience, he's quickly overwhelmed. Everyone thinks the battle will be easily finished. However, one thing about Ganta is that he never gives up, and he remembers spending parts of his childhood with Shiro and starts fighting again. So he has flashbacks and he now realizes that Shiro and him actually have a deeper relationship than he thought, even though we kind of knew that in the first episode because Shiro, knew who he was before he knew who she was. Turns out he just forgot her, which is...
It's not explained.
No, I feel like they should, have elaborated to be like, oh yeah, when the explosion happened in Tokyo and he survived, because I think his mom died in that explosion, right?
Yes.
I think it should have been he hit his head really bad and has no memories. I don't know, maybe it's explained in the manga and it's they experimented on him or something and made him forget. I don't know. But in this show, he just forgot her. He was just sorry, bye.
It makes me think of, Tokyo Ghoul in 6 Minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's oh, hey, why did this happen? I don't know. Maybe it makes sense in the manga.
Mm.
I wish anime was more self-aware with shit like that.
Yeah.
If it actually said that in an anime, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. You could get away with so much with that, though. Especially if you just made an anime and it didn't have a manga.
Right?
That would be so funny.
You would confuse so many people, but it would be brilliant all at the same time.
I feel that's the kind of shit that the Daily Lives of High School Boys would pull.
Yeah, either that or Tonica-kun.
Yeah.
I can see Tonica being I wonder if this happened in the manga.
And just, really casually, and then leaving it like that, and all the other characters are what?
And then, during the transition, you just see Ota just flipping through it.
Yeah. Oh, that would
be
really
brilliant.
That would be super
Oh my
funny.
god. Somebody hire us.
So, yeah, somebody hire us. We're good at coming up with stupid ideas.
We're not good with the actual work, but if
No.
you want ideas that are gold, we got you.
Yeah. If you want us to follow through with those ideas, however,
give us a really good team and a decent budget, and we can make it happen.
we can make it happen.
We
We know
make great
writers.
directors.
We know lots of writers.
That is true.
Yeah.
That means we just need animators and key animators and an animation director and storyboarders.
And everybody else, assistant directors and producers and...
No, I feel like you and I are just gonna be both director and co-director at the same time, but nobody's gonna know who's who.
And nobody's gonna know who's who.
We always refer to ourselves as the director and the other as the assistant director.
Yeah.
And that's just the running narrative.
Your first AD. Anyway, yeah, so he's now got these memories back of Shiro, and he starts wanting to fight again. And he ends up hitting Crow with one good blow, causing him to win the bout. And Crow ends up losing an eye in the punishment game, which is a game that happens. So basically, after you lose your fight, you then get strapped down to a chair. They pull a lever on one of them gambling machines. What are those? Slot machines. You can tell that I've done a lot of gambling in my life. And then ding, 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 you get to choose one, and Crow's was his right eye? His right eye.
Yes.
And yeah, so he lost an eye. And Yo and Shiro are trying to make it back to G Block, but all of the all of the entrances that they are currently aware of have been destroyed. A man comes up to Yo telling him that he has information that he's been looking for about a girl that's being kept in G Block. Yo uses Shiro as a distraction for the guard tower so that he's able to get in through the vents to be able to get back into G Block on the roof. But she possesses secret abilities, and when all of these guards come in and surround her with weapons and stuff, and he's thinking that she's going to get offed and he's sacrificed her, that doesn't happen when her lullaby stops and she kills everyone, leaving Yo as witness.
Wait, you mean to tell me the girl with white hair, with a red and white bodysuit, with bright red eyes, that wears mittens, has secret powers?
You know, I never would have thought that the most unique looking character would have been more than just a side character, you know? I thought that's how it worked in anime. Like, if you're really unique looking, if you have, like, different color hair to everybody else or whatever, then you're just, like, you sit in the background, right?
Like, Shiro should have been the main character, is what you're getting at.
She should have just, like, sat in the library the entire time.
Although, she would have made for a much better main character than fucking Ganta.
She's very cute.
Snacks.
Cookies. Episode 6. Hummingbird. Hummingbird! This is one of the episodes that I'm most infuriated about because it falls into the same trap as the first episode, but this one is trying to pull you on a twist. And they rushed it. Frustrates me. Shiro falls unconscious after the attack of the guard tower, and she's picked up by weird twins that guards the old man's room, he's the director of the whole thing, but he's very sick. And Yo continues on his way to G Block. Ganta wakes up and overhears a commotion going on outside of his new cell. A girl around his age and a very large hungry man are having an altercation. He wants to eat her potted primrose that she's holding. Ganta gives him his dinner as to appease him, and he eats the whole tray. Despite that, however, he is still not satisfied. His monstrous appetite is still not satisfied. And so the teens run off and manage to escape into her room, where she explains that she is a contestant of the Carnival Corpse Festival and a fellow Branch of Sin user. She tells him that she was abused by her father after her mother died, and that she got really upset one day, and out of self-defense, she ended up killing him one evening when it got too bad. Her brother came home and discovered her and protected her, and he never believed that she would be the one to do such a thing, and thought that it was all a setup or that something else had happened. He could never believe that she was the one to kill her dad, and he was always fighting for her freedom. Ganta promises to help her escape when he finds out that the two of them are set up for the next bout. The next fight that Ganta is in is supposed to be against this young girl who suffered from all of this abuse. And he promises to help her escape, but gets injured when they try. Guards stop them, but tell them to cool it, as they fight tomorrow anyways. She is Hummingbird, his next opponent. Also, sorry, he didn't find out beforehand, he found out when the guards tried to stop them. Their fight begins, and Ganta refuses to fight her until she reveals that it was a setup all along, and that she isn't the innocent girl that she made him believe she was. Her mother abandoned her at a young age in favor of a potted plant, and it messed her brain up. Yo, who has now snuck into G-Block, sees Ganta attack Hummingbird and stands in to protect her, and this is when it's revealed that he is the older brother of her story. He had been saving up millions of cast points to get her out, and that's why he was working with the promoter all along. Ganta tells Hummingbird not to push everyone away because the one person betrayed her, and she ends up using her brother as a human shield, like she reveals to him that she's crazy, and he ends up managing to save Yo, who is being used as a human shield, and headbutts her unconscious, winning the match. See what I mean about that being, like, that's so much for one episode.
Yes.
And because of that, you don't feel, like, I'm sorry, but when she was like, oh, I'm actually evil, I was like, yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
It's so rushed. Anyway, episode 7, Original Sin, Wretched Egg. Ganta checks on Yo and Hummingbird after the fight. I'm going to keep calling her that. She has a name, but I'm going to keep calling her Hummingbird. Where her name is actually Minatsuki, but there you go.
Hummingbird.
Yeah, Hummingbird. After the fight, where an earthquake of sorts causes the cabinets to fall on Minatsuki. However, her brother is there to protect her. Yo asks Ganta about Shiro, and Ganta explains that they were childhood friends, and that he somehow forgot. Shiro has a totally different personality when she fights the director of the prison, and as she was taken to him after being knocked unconscious by the twins, after, like, the whole thing with the guard tower. Shiro and Ganta used to play with a superhero that looks awfully lot like the Red Man that killed all of Ganta's classmates, that we don't care about. Yo doesn't tell Ganta about her abilities and about the guard tower situation. He keeps that to himself. Yo goes to get the cast points that had been stolen from him from one of the guards when he was knocked unconscious, and so that he can pay for his sister's way out of the punishment game. But he meets with the promoter and his lackey, the monk, on his way out. And he is informed that the cast points work totally different. They work totally different in G Block. They can't buy their way out. They can't buy their way out of the fights. They can't buy their way out of prison, and they can't buy their way out of the punishment game. Like, you can buy your way out of prison if you're not in G Block. After being baited, basically, Yo attacks the monk and gets beat to shit. So he just got out of the infirmary and then he gets beat to shit again. Ganta is being recruited by 2 other deadmen that call themselves Scarchain and want to break out and destroy the birdcage, which is what they consider the I guess it's like their version of like UFC or whatever. You know, the birdcage is what they call the fighting arena system.
Mm-hmm.
They manage to save Hummingbird as the punishment game begins by calling in a favor and making the machine turn to hair. So she just gets her hair cut off. And Shiro is revealed to be the Red Man. Da, 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 da. Also, the monk attacks the Scarchain boss, bringing a broken Yo with him as well. Again, so much happens. It's so confusing, because, like, I'm trying to explain it, but, like, if you don't know, like, if you can't picture what I'm saying in my head, I feel like, what I'm saying in your head, I feel like you would just get confused.
It's a very confusing set of circumstances.
Yeah. Episode 8, Chains of Freedom, Scarchain. Ganta is introduced to everyone in Scarchain after the fight with the monk is ended, and Shiro drops from the ceiling, because she seems to do that a lot. One tech dude who was the one to fix the Hummingbird's punishment game results. One of the guys that they were introduced to was a tech dude who's the one to fix the Hummingbird's punishment game results. Ganta tries to tell them that when he was fighting the monk, his blood like dissipated before it ended up reaching him. But the tech dude pulls up the security footage and just shows him missing. And Ganta ends up throwing a tantrum and storming out, and he promises Shiro, and he storms out. Ganta ends up promising Shiro that he is going to take her for a ride in the Ferris wheel. And we learn that some of Scarchain members' backstory, specifically Nagi, who had a wife and a child, and his wife was killed in one of the fights, and escaping from the fight. It was a guard that ended up killing her, and she ended up dying. And his daughter is living outside of the prison, and he's never met her because she was taken as an infant, and so he's trying to escape with everybody to be able to see his daughter. And we also learn that the facility is undergoing a week-long inspection, and that Scarchain plans on starting an uprising or like figuring out a way to escape throughout this time period. And the monk is actually part of an anti-Deadman group, because regular guards can't deal with these guys, right? So the promoter has made an anti-Deadman group called the Undertakers. Tech dude, Rokuro, is actually a double agent, and he is actually an undertaker, and so therefore faked the video, Ganta's blood not dissipating and him just missing. The uprising begins. Crop top chick is self-sacrifice. Kariko self-sacrifices herself, ends up falling down into a pit of despair, and you're just like, oh, sad. Oh no, that actually happens at the beginning of the next episode. At this point, she's just going, no, leave me, run off and save yourself, and is about to die from an acid-spitting robot.
It's a trip, man.
Yeah, this show's, like, it's exhausting to kind of, like, read this back. I feel like I'm running out of energy as we speak.
I've been out of energy all day, and this is just,
Yeah, it's really draining. And it's because you have no real emotional connection to any of these characters. And I keep saying that, but I genuinely feel like I didn't give a shit about anybody.
No, like, the only person that I gave a shit about was Shiro.
Yeah, Shiro.
I don't even give a fuck about the main character. He could die for all I care.
Like I don't care about
him. He's a whiny little bitch. Like,
yeah.
Fuck off. Shiro's cool, though.
Shiro's cool. And I think the reason why Shiro is cool is because she's the only one that has human moments.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only one that's, like, sitting eating cookies for a while and just, like, talking about her feelings, you know? Like, nobody else has time to establish a personality.
Like Crow, I'm kind of cool with, too.
Crow is cool. He's okay. Yo is also fine, because, like, he had a mission, and, you know, he also just got beat to shit, like, every time he's on screen. It's like there's a 50-50 chance that he's gonna get beat to shit.
Honestly, I could go with the Warden backstory.
Yeah, she's cool, and I like her relationship with her, I don't know, second in
her
command.
Subordinate?
Yeah, her subordinate, her second in command. They're hilarious.
Yeah, it's a really... It's a really nifty little dynamic.
Yeah, it's like, how the fuck did she end up working in a prison? Like, what happened in her life to... Because she needs to be working at a flower shop or a bakery or something. What is she doing in a prison? Yeah, she's really funny. Yeah, no, yeah, those guys are cool. See, this is the thing. It's like secondary characters that are fine. But, like, other than Shiro, anybody that you're supposed to give a shit about, you just don't.
No.
That's so bad. It was so draining to watch this. It wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy it. It was a chore.
It really was a chore.
Yeah. Anyway, episode 9, Pro-Oxidant, brackets Worm Eater. Kaneko destroys the acid robot but falls down with it into the darkness. The group progress with Ganta, now going with the microchip, which is they're trying to get the microchip outside of the prison so that they can give the public evidence of what's been happening inside of the prison and of G-Block and of everything else that's happening. But they get inside the elevator with the microchip, and Ganta has been given this is your chip, you hold on to it like your life, which I also don't understand, okay? Because, like, he's the new kid in the group, you know, there's an entire group of people there that have been working to escape this prison for, like, years, right? He is a brand new kid, he's 14 years old, and they're all just like, yes, child, this is your responsibility now. It's up to you to get this chip outside. Whereas, like, there are people there that have been training for years for this specific operation. But one kid that's like, oh, I've been here 2 days. And they're like, yeah, okay, it's your chance. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, baka.
That actually, like, I was watching it and I was like, if I were one of those members of the group, I'd be like, no, don't give it to the kid. What are you doing? Oh, God, that actually made me laugh at the stupidity of that. Anyway, they get inside the elevators and they're waiting for Rokuro and Nagi to open the elevators from the control room. However, Rokuro reveals that he is the double agent and stands by the Undertaker. Dida Hibana fights him. She's a little girl with a big sword. You know how that works. And after defeating her, Nagi ends up pulling the lever, though, and activates the lift. Rokuro's just like, I'm not getting involved. I don't know why he didn't stop him, but he didn't. And everyone ends up getting to the top floor with the chip that they need to get out to the outside world to show the world everything's happening in the prison. Excuse me. Everything is happening in the prison. The monk and the other stormtroopers are there to greet them with death. I call them stormtroopers because they don't hit anything. Soon, barely anyone is left because the monk is doing a good job of killing everybody. And Nagi radios from his tooth, to the hideout. That doesn't make any sense if you haven't watched the show. Whilst he is dying on the floor. Shiro overhears and meets with the Undertaker because there's like another person there who's standing in the room. And the other person tells Shiro about this message. And Shiro's like, I'm going to take this information to Ganta. And so she runs off to go fight Ganta, who's with the Undertaker, the monk, and takes the microchip from him. And after they've just managed to defeat everybody and getting ready to escape, and throws it into a hallway, closes the door, and presses herself against the door, and it explodes. And she's like, yay, I saved you. Episode 10, Caretaker, brackets, Undertaker. Ganta and the few remaining survivors are furious with Shiro, and Ganta ends up hitting her, and calling, because she called him weak, basically. He hit her because she got rid of the microchip, but then she called him weak, and that's when he was like, and hit her. So, rude. The warden is still investigating into, the promoter, because she's like, I know that something's fucked going on here. And she overhears a conversation about the dead man. So she now knows that there's something, she knew there was something bigger going on, but she now has some more information to back that. The group gather together, what's left of Scarchain, gather together back at the hideout, and Karako bands them all together and tries to get them to reformulate their escape route because they still have the rest of the week to try and get out whilst this investigation is going on throughout the prison. Nagi has been taken by the monk and is being pumped full of just nameless drugs, just something. And they're trying to get him, he's trying to recruit him to be an Undertaker. Shiro is sad, and she ends up meeting up with Mockingbird, who we then find out was the person who overheard what happened in the hideout and told Shiro about it, So we find out, like, the Mockingbird was who it was, who told her that the chip was dangerous. And Rokuro invades the hideout, explains that it was all a setup, and that the chip was a bomb. So now Ganta realizes that he was a dick. The Crow ends up saving everyone there, but refuses to join the group because he likes it there, because, at least in the prison, he knows what he's facing. Like, it's honestly fucked up, as opposed to the masquerade of normal life in the outside world, which does make me intrigued about the OVA that we mentioned previously, about his backstory, because I want to know why he thinks that it's better off in the prison than outside, right?
But he's not wrong, though.
No, also true.
Show is a decent metaphor for real life, though.
Mm-hmm. True. But yeah, anyway, Gonta is now feeling like shit because of Shiro saving him, and when Crow leaves, he follows him. Episode 11, Gig of Despair. Gonta, hating that he is so weak, asks Crow to train him, where he's getting his ass handed to him, and the other members of Scar Chain, whilst he is training, start another attempt to get to get them to the outside. And they leave Gonta out of it, because they say he's been through enough, and all this. And this is why I'm like, why did you give him the microchip? If you're like, he's a child, and he's been through so much to get here, and we need to protect him as the child here. Why the hell did you put that responsibility? You knew! You were aware of everything. Why did you put that responsibility on him, like, 3 episodes ago? Not even an episode ago. It feels like 3 episodes ago. 1 episode ago. Why did you put that responsibility on him? To only be like, oh no, he's been through so much. Like, 3 seconds later. Like, for Christ's sake. Angry. And I'm also angry about the fact that Gonta levels up his power from barely being able to do anything to shooting his blood at the speed of sound in an episode. Nobody can level up that fast.
No, that's just shonen.
But, like, no, it's not, though, because, like, I'm gonna keep comparing it to Demon Slayer. But how, like, what did we say? A full year of training, right?
A year and a half.
A year and a half of training. Yeah, to get to where he was.
But I literally watched Goku become a god in Dragon Ball time, 48 minutes. Like, not only did he achieve the power of a god, but he mastered the power of a god in 48 minutes. So, this gets a pass.
I still
from
don't.
That perspective.
That's one
I
trope.
don't like it because, at least in Dragon Ball's case, that was literally a span of 30 episodes.
Yeah,
This was not.
I think that's the thing, is if it had to be like he had to level up in a day, I still don't think it should have been 1 episode, or a half an episode.
If you can even consider it a half.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, it just pisses me off that it happened so quickly. But everything happened so quickly in this, so whatever. But I feel like I would have loved, like, maybe an entire freaking core of Gonta and Crow being his freaking sensei, like, leveling up, training behind the scenes. Because the thing about it is, another thing that doesn't make sense about this, okay, is Gonta is like, hey, he's the new kid. He's going to be fighting for the, like, these games, right? He's going to fight 2 fights right off the bat, one day after the other, right? And nobody else is going to fight during that time. What? That is not how these works, okay? That's not how fighting arenas work. That's not how betting works. That's not how that works. So there would be time because then they could have really cool montages of him working his ass off in the training room and then flicking over to, like, Hummingbird fighting freaking, I don't know, somebody else in the arena, and then flicking back to him training with Crow, and then flicking back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then have, like, at least a week of training. At least a week, please.
Mate, this is anime. You're asking too much.
I know, I'm asking too much. But yeah, that's one trope that I really don't like, is the level up in 3 seconds thing. I like people to work for their powers.
I mean, in My Hero Academia, it took Deku 5 seasons to just now be able to use 20% of his power. Mm. So, you know.
Basically what I'm saying is, I want a Let's Make a Man Out of You style montage in every anime.
Oh, fuck. I just realized something.
What?
You have to finish an entire season of My Hero Academia before next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Ganbate. I'm glad I reminded you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get on that.
You forgot, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, so Gunter is training with Crow. Scout Chain members are going off on their own thing while they leave Gunter out of it. Shiro is eating her feelings, including chocolates filled with liqueur. The monk finds Shiro and Karako and captures them in her controversial scene. Nagi, pumped with drugs, reveals his insanity. Gunter manages to make a bullet travel fast enough to break the sound barrier, rendering it effective against the blood-dissolving weapons, because it doesn't actually, the blood-dissolving weapons doesn't dissolve the blood because, well, it does still dissolve the blood, but the shockwave of the sound barrier breaking is still enough to damage the person, right? That's the way that works. Shiro, and he goes to save Shiro now, despite the fact that he has, no blood left because he'd been training all day. Because his blood works in projectiles, so he loses blood, whereas other people have, blood blades and stuff, where they don't ever lose the blood. Well, it's, outside of their body, but, they can put it back, whereas he can't. And the Mockingbird meets up with him, too, and explains that he was dead for a while, but he's back now, and that's never really elaborated on. And Nagi is about to lose all of his shits, and that is the end of episode 11. Episode 12, Relief, brackets, Grateful Dead. Nagi kills all the guards, and his eyes are white from insanity. Gunter protects Shiro, and his brave, stupid words, combined with Karako's bell, remind Nagi of his humanity. Although, and Nagi's going insane because he realized that his daughter was actually dead all along and his wife never actually gave birth. She died pregnant, and he then slaughtered everybody and went on a rampage, and the monk found him, beautiful during that time and got aroused because of his insanity, and so the monk was trying to re-establish Nagi in that way, but because of Karako's bell and Gunter's idiotic behavior, Nagi comes back to his senses. Although the monk has other ideas and ends up stabbing Karako. She manages to stop the bleeding because of her armor-style use of her sin, and Gunter continues to protect Shiro, calling her his best friend. She's still mad at him at this point, but as soon as she says best friend, then she's like, okay, we're cool now. The monk isn't having it, and after his backstory and realizing that Nagi has regained his senses, he blasts a hole through Nagi. Gunter thinks that he can be a big bad boy and stand up to him, but it's actually Shiro using her ability to completely manipulate him. And he doesn't realize because she's standing behind him. So she's using her Redman powers. Nagi dies, but gives a candy to Gunter, ensuring his survival, because he's about to time out as well. Everyone escapes through a giant hole in the wall, except for Gunter and the unconscious Shiro, because he's like, just kidding, I want to save all my friends, so I'm gonna stay in prison. And the Mockingbird gains the powers he consumes in a kind of... Did you ever watch Heroes? The superhero show?
No.
No, okay. There's a guy called Sylar in the show, and he has this ability where he can, absorb other people's powers. That's his power.
I just figured it was One for All from My Hero.
Yeah, effectively.
I just looked at this shit as quirks.
Yeah, effectively. I recommend watching Hero. It's good. Heroes.
No.
Get
I'll add it to my queue.
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent. And Mockingbird is now interested in Gunter. He knows about Shiro, and I have it possibly is Gramps. The way that they were projecting it, it seems like Gramps may have, transferred his brain into Mockingbird's body, and that's why he was dead for a while. I don't know, though. And Mockingbird is, the strongest dead man. The promoter gets promoted, and he is now the director, because the director is dead. And the warden is investigating the happenings, setting up an untold trap. So the last, scenes of the show is the warden talking about a trap that she set up for the now director was promoter to catch him in what's been going on. And that's the cliffhanger that you're left on.
Not only that, but Gunter and Shiro talking about riding the Ferris wheel.
Oh yeah, that too. Which is in the view of the giant hole, so if they literally just, stepped out, they could go ride it.
Or they're sitting on the roof, just looking at it, and hey, I still gotta keep my promise to you that we're gonna ride that thing.
Yeah. But everyone else has escaped, because they left through the giant hole in the wall. If it were me, as a 22-year-old adult, and I was in a prison where all of this stuff was happening, and it was unjustly put there, we're escaping from this hellhole, everybody's died, it's clear, torture and everything like that, and 2 14-year-olds were like, nah, we're not gonna leave with you. I would knock them the fuck out and bring them with me. They don't get a choice. I wouldn't leave them behind. They're children.
Yep.
And they're just like, nah,
Yep,
it's cool,
yep.
you can stay. Ah!
So many issues.
So many issues, but that aggravates me so much that the adults I know anime adults, okay? We can just leave that sentence as it is. I know anime adults. However, the fuck?
Yeah, just the fuck.
At least
That's
normally
it.
in
That's all there is to
animes
say.
where there are children and adults, there's like a group of children and then a group of adults, and it's like children versus adults. But in this instance, it's like there are adults there that are able to protect the children, and they're just like, nah, you're on your own, kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's, yeah. Anything else you want to say on the show?
First time watching it through, I'd give it a 7. Watching it through this time, it gets a 2.
Oh, that's rough. OP and ED, thoughts?
And
Mm-hmm.
The only good thing, like the only saving grace on the OP or ED is the Ferris wheel animation and like the photos of all the people behind the scenes.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the only saving grace the ED gets.
How was the English voice acting?
Awful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it was, I was gonna say I suppose it was pretty early on in the voice acting thing, but like, it's not actually that old.
No, it's not. It's only like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
So, gross.
2011, you said? Or 2013?
I can't remember. It's either 2011 or 2013. Either way, DBZ's voice acting in the 90s was better.
2011, so it's 9 years old. Yeah, I feel like the voice acting in the sub was fine. Nobody had like a really annoying voice or somebody that was like stuck out to me. It was fine.
Gonta's voice annoyed me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a frustration out of 10. I'm gonna give it a... I would recommend it still for people to watch, so I'm not gonna rate it too low, because it's not like I would never recommend it, because, like, if you're in the right mood, and, I don't know,
As a first-time watch, it is great. It does not hold up well for a rewatch.
Yeah. I'm actually having a really hard time rating this.
If you've made it this far and you haven't seen it, so you've listened through all the spoilers, just don't fucking watch it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. The pacing is awful, and it's really hard to talk about plot holes, because I don't know if they were plot holes or if they would have been explained later on, because there's nothing that's directly contradictory.
I say we read the manga and revisit it at some point.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to rewatch it, but I wouldn't mind talking about the manga. I refuse to rewatch it. I'm going to give it a... I didn't hate it. I didn't despise it. It was very... it was a chore to watch. I wouldn't have finished it if I wasn't reviewing it for the podcast. I would have just, stopped watching. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. No, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 because of some... Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 because they're, it's just not good. It's not good. So genuinely let us know what your guys' opinions are at home about what you think of this show. If you've seen it one time, if you have watched it multiple times, if it is your favorite show, if you absolutely despise it, have you read the manga? We want to know all this kind of stuff because, like we've said many times, we are not professional reviewers in the sense that we have no degrees in anything. We've never been to film school. We don't know shit about shit. So they're literally just two weirdos who like anime are just talking about it. That's our credentials. So let us know your genuine thoughts on this show, on the plotline. And if you've read the manga, let us know if the manga's better or worse, or what your comparison is of the two. Because yeah, neither of us have read the manga and we're super curious about that as well.
I feel like we're ending Spooky Month on a somber note.
I know.
But fast-paced action begins next week with Free.
Yeah, we're jumping right into Sports Month, which is my month. When does Free come out? Free comes out on the...
It comes out on your birthday.
It comes out on my
drops
birthday.
on November 8th.
Ooh.
That was literally the reason why I swapped it.
Yeah, because we were going to watch Baby Steps, but Baby Steps magically walked away. We can find it anywhere.
So, yeah, we were supposed to cover Baby Steps, but we
couldn't find it.
Like I said, I couldn't find it anywhere on all the streaming services that I pay for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
for the podcast, because you totally wouldn't be paying for them for anime otherwise.
Well, Amazon Prime and shit, I probably wouldn't be paying for that.
Oh, that's true.
But
Twitch.
I'll do it for the podcast. Anyway, that was initially the plan, but Blue has also brought up free in the past. So I figured, what a better way to fuck up our recording schedule by covering something that she just really wants to watch. And since it's her birthday, I'm more than willing to oblige.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the reasons why I keep bringing it up is because Brad is a huge fan of women. And this is also one of the most shipped animes of all time.
But I swear, if this turns into another dive, I'm canceling Sports
It won't.
Month.
No, it won't. Free is different. Free was the Haikyuu before Haikyuu was a thing. This is fangirl territory. You're in fangirl territory with watching Free. Just so you're aware. So brace yourself.
Well, I am fine with that.
I don't think I've ever been to an anime convention when they didn't have giant body pillows with these dudes on them.
I can see that.
Yeah. Like, they sell the cosplay jackets that these guys wear at every anime convention I've ever been to. There is so much fan drawings and like artist alleys are always filled with like little knickknacks and keychains of them. There is a lot of free merch. This is major fangirl territory. If you don't like it, Brad, it's not me you're pissing off, but the army will come.
Well, all I can say is that it was your suggestion.
It was.
So you will be blamed if I do not like it.
Hey, it's my birthday. You can't be mean to me.
Says the person who did not wish me a happy birthday on mine.
Hey, I kind of did in a roundabout way.
No, you didn't.
I asked you if you were feeling any older. That's basically wishing you a happy birthday.
No, it's not.
Yeah, are you still salty? Are you salty?
No, I'm just not letting you live it down.
Aw. Well, you don't have to wish me a happy birthday. You can ask me if I'm feeling any older.
An eye for an eye makes the world go blind. So, of course, you will be greeted with a massive plethora of happy birthday gifts.
I'm so bad with dates and birthdays. I think it is known. It's for everybody. It took me, my two best friends are twins. They have one birthday. Not hard to remember. It's just one date. Took me like 6 years to remember. I'm sorry though.
Yeah, real sorry.
I did remember though. I asked you if it was on your birthday when I just didn't specifically say happy birthday, but I did ask you if you were feeling any older on the day of your birth.
If my Discord had not been popping off, you would not have.
That's not true.
You have openly admitted to that.
You
said, oh, hey, your Discord is popping off. I want to pop in to see what's happening. Oh, hey.
Yeah, that's exactly how I sound.
I have the audio for that somewhere. I'm going to find it.
Uh-huh. Anyways, next week, free, and my birthday. I'm going to be 23.
Yeah.
Social medias. If you like Brad, first, before we do social medias, because I forgot about that. If you like Brad, you can find him on twitch.tv/BradCarterGaming. If you also want to get more of him, you can find him on Instagram at BradCarterGaming. And like we previously mentioned, he runs our very fancy Instagram and Twitter. And our Instagram, we have been making polls about things that concern the podcast. So things like, for instance, when this episode was getting released, because this is one that we were actually supposed to release back as our second horror Halloween episode, but because of family life complications, that didn't happen. And so it ended up getting released on Halloween. Ooh. So yeah, we asked you guys about that, whether or not we should keep it in the backlogs or release it on Halloween. And you guys were the ones who decided. So if you're interested in having a direct effect on what happens with the podcast, you can do that by following us over on Instagram and answering those polls that we've been putting out. We also have a YouTube channel, BnB Anime. BnB Anime YouTube channel has all of our episodes with all of our archived previous ones that have already happened and all of our brand new ones that are coming out. And we have fancy thumbnails on those and a comment section. Comment section is fun because you get to talk to us in them. And we respond, I promise we do. And I think that's everything. Oh yeah, Twitter. Same thing, BnB Anime. We just tweet out when things are happening and things about the podcast and I'll let you guys know. And information stuff happens on there. It's a good time. And yeah, I think that's everything. Right?
Blue also streams, even though I have streamed more than her this month.
Yeah, I've been taking a good break. I've needed a break.
I can't say I blame you. I would have as well. And But yeah, Blue also streams. You can find her Monday through Saturday, except for Wednesdays and Thursdays. She mainly streams art. You can find her at twitch.tv/Blue Lavender.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can also find her on Instagram and Twitter at Blue Lavender STM. Although Twitter is for Twitch updates and Instagram is art and the occasional bean photo.
Yeah.
Also, adorable Tilly Instagram at the best Tilly Bean.
Yeah.
So, with Deadman Wonderland officially dropping on Halloween, we are officially wrapping up Spooky Month with this episode dropping on a Saturday, we will have officially released 3 episodes within the span of a week, so we will be taking tomorrow, Sunday, November 1st, off from our normal schedule, and we will have free uploaded November 8th.
Yeah, such excite.
Yeah, so Sports Month will officially be happening. Be sure to go wish Blue a happy birthday, because make her feel bad for forgetting mine.
Oh, I didn't though. I'm gonna hold my ground here. I didn't.
I'm just giving you shit. So that wraps everything else. Fuck, I can speak. I can do an outro. I am good at this. So that wraps us up for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. Blue and I greatly appreciate it. We will catch y'all next week for free. But until then, bye-bye.
Bye.